Hello, this is Liz with Crafty Devotion. Today I'm going to show you how to make a flower with one fabric. And I purchased 100% polyester window valance. I want you to look at the photo. See how it looks in different, there's 3 hoops, but look what's hanging down. There's a tassel. I cut it into thirds, 1, 2, and it ends up with 3 of those humps. So I want you to cut your fabric that way. So I just chose it because I really like the tassels, even if I don't use this fabric because it is a very inexpensive fabric. It makes a beautiful flower, but it is kind of hard to work with. But beautiful tassel, and I used the tassel in this design. You can see parts of the tassel down here. The first thing we are going to do is do this bottom portion. And I'm going to show you what to do. Take your valance. You should have cut it into thirds. And you notice that it has this ridge here. Go along the edge and cut it. This is approximately 19 inches. Approximately. I'm cutting off this end here. And I show you this. I will be posting the flower tutorials I talk about. I'll put a card up so that you can see it up in the right hand corner. But it's folded for you, it's sewed for you. Then I want you to go ahead and snip. Now I also do it folded in half so I can get 2 at a time. It's not extremely crucial. These strips are about 1/4 of an inch wide. Okay, I cut all my strips. And this is the point where I take my fabric and I shabby it up. I want frays to come out on this fabric. Can you now see the frays? Okay, you do that to the entire fabric. I put a plastic bag underneath because, so I'll sew myself down so you can see it. All I'm doing is holding it, grabbing and gently pulling. I'm not pulling hard, just enough to fray the fabric. This fabric frays very, very easily, and I found that I had trouble that it was fraying too much for me, so I'll show you the tricks I learned for it. Take a pencil, or I'm using the head of my a paintbrush, and I like to just attach it like this. And this particular one you're going to need to be gluing, so I glue it together. You need to be careful, hot glue hurts. And this is just a way of me being able to hold it. You don't have to use this. I'm not going to keep on using it through the whole thing, but you do a very light amount of glue all the way along. But make sure you glue at least these first portions because this fabric is slippery. And just glue right over all those frays. I just made it, you could see there's a hole in the middle. It doesn't really matter. Not for this project anyway. Okay, I'm done. Now all you do is come to the center and open it up, and you have a very messy, fray, full of shabbiness flower. Now don't do it too much because it just keeps on shredding. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to stop a little bit of the fray, but for right now, this is what we have. Put it aside, and we'll start with the next portion. Now take the rest of my valance, and here's that beautiful little tassel. I'm just gonna trim around the fabric and just cut it off. It's not that crucial because I'm going to save it for later. The next thing I want you to do is to come along, see this edge that's sewn? I want you to cut it maybe about 1/8 of an inch wide along this. We are going to use this part later, but I want you to cut it off now so that it doesn't get ruined. And do not stretch it because, like I said, this fabric is a very low quality fabric, and it does just totally fall apart until we treat it the way I'm going to show you how. Okay, so about 4 inches. So you can get a ruler and kind of guess here. About 4 inches is about right by my thumb now. And like I said, I'm not that crucial about it. I do it with my eye. You can cut it properly on your cutting board. So this is about 18 inches long. I'm going to cut it right in half. This fabric seems to fray a lot, and I want to deter some of the fraying for this piece that we're going to do. I want to deter the fraying for that part of it. We will be encouraging the fraying here along this line, so don't seal that. I just sealed this part. And this frays very easily. You'll be so amazed how easy. So I don't know, that looks like 10, 15, 20, and we will fray. So here's the piece. And when you fray this and it frays evenly, you can actually use this in the future. So take it and knot it. And we can add, you can use this as fiber. I'm teaching you things that you could do when you don't have fiber. You usually can use the fiber from the fabric that you're using. So I just put a little knot in it so it's not completely separating all the time. This is now I'm going to make a flower using the a la Liz technique. So layering them means that there's quite a few things that we do. Okay, so now the other 4-inch piece, take that and wrap it around 2 fingers. You're going to make another a la Liz flower technique flower. This one is going to be a petal flower. But we are going to, we came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals, but I want only 4 petals because I found that 4 petals works best with this fabric. It is a fabric that frays very easily. But because of the poor quality of this fabric, we are doing a lot of the like I said, we're going to do a lot of it beforehand so that when we use all of this technique, it's not too bad. I just found that this was the best. And this is pretty quick because this fabric melts very easily. I'd say it melts very close to an organza. Now I look at this and I decide, do I want to melt it a little more? Here, I'll bring my candle over. I see a little fray there. I want to melt that a little more. Plus, I want to try and get each of these petals to get a little bit of a brown color on the edges. Not black, but I'm keeping it at least an inch above, and I move it as soon as I see it melt. I move it. And you decide how you want yours to look. Now look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So what we'll do is we will take this flower that we made, and now I'm just going to do the gluing. And I'm making sure that it's centered, about centered. And I've shown you this before. This is my bottom flower, and this one goes on top of it. So when I'm gluing this flower on, what I did was I made sure, because this fabric here frays so easily, it's going to fray a lot, I made sure that I placed glue along so that every petal gets a little bit of glue, so that it'll stop some of the fraying. I usually encourage fraying. I do encourage fraying, but I don't want the integrity of the fabric to diminish because of the fraying. Because we're going to use parts of the tassel for a variety of things. This strip right here that's around it, it will just slide right off. So I'm going to pull a few out, and I'm going to just place them. Right, we're adding here all the fibers, as many fibers as you wish. I'm going to put one more here. I'm putting a lot. Now you can also put the fibers this way, fold it this way. I'm going to take my top, put flower, nice amount of glue on it, because this is also going to hold down the flower, and it's going to hold down all those fibers. Okay, now I want you to get your stick. It could be a pencil or or like I'm using a paintbrush. I'm going to show you the technique of getting these edges to have a curl on them. Now wrap your piece that you had cut earlier and set aside, that was the edge, and wrap it around gently because like I told you, this stuff just tears easily, and what you're doing is you are sealing it and forming it so that it will. Now you don't need to go all the way to the edges. Be careful with your candle, you can burn yourself, but just set it there until the fabric frays start disappearing. And I turn it. Don't get too close because you can trim the edges. You can trim the edges of this ribbon that you're creating. You don't have to get it like really, really close to where your hands are. Just do this. I want you to see. You sealed the fabric and you created a. Now on the edge here, you can decide, because it looks pretty like that, but you can actually melt it like this. Look, it just curled it up. Just gives it that some character. So you decide what it needs. You do that to as much as you wish. You will take the little strips you made. I ended up making 2. Your tassel. And then I just took a piece of fabric. I'm just going to use the edge of it, just some place for me to glue. That's all it is. It's just a place for me to glue. So I will glue things on here, and I'm just going to pile them. This one, I'm going to cut it in half and just glue it onto there. And see how I glued it? It'll make it fall forward. Okay, this one. Now you can make more or less tassels, more or less items if you wish. And my goal has been just to teach you how to experiment, how to make something out of very little. Look at your flower and decide which part you want to be the bottom. I think I want this to be the bottom. And you see how the circle of this is there? I will be placing this just here, right below it, because this is actually lifted up a little bit. If you wish, you can actually trim this a little more, but you don't have to. And you can get a piece of cardboard, a piece of paper. I think we are going to use like the fabric left over from one of the petals. I'm going to just trim it just a little bit because it looked a little long. Just a little. You can cut it into a circle, but I'm going to just cut it. I'm going to put some glue on it, and you tweak it the way you wish. So you could, a circle might look
here I decided
better,
to add the rest of the tassels to the bottom of the flower. And I wanted to take this time to just chat with you a little bit to let you know that my goal here is not that you all need to go out and buy this Dollar Tree fabric. You can. You can experiment with it like I did. As I experiment, I learn so much. And then as I learn, I enjoy teaching what I learn. So you've learned a lot from this. We've learned that this fabric is very poor quality, but you can still make beautiful flowers out of poor quality fabric. I encourage you to share my videos, to comment below with what type of fabric would you like me to experiment with you. I will choose my own fabric, and I will use your comments to help me to make some decisions on what is the next budget type flower I'm going to show you. But I will normally use my own stash to do all this stuff, but you can definitely do it with one fabric. I'll talk to you next time. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to sharing more videos with you. Please share my videos with your friends and comment about your interests. I'll see you next time. This is Liz with Crafty Devotion.